Hey, what's going on, guys? Jeff Koga here, and this is another episode of Marketing Strategy Lab Show Notes. And today's episodes of show notes that I'm giving for is episode 10, and that's for strategy session, Saturday Strategy with Jack Welch, the business lessons from the legendary CEO. And if you have never heard of Jack Welch, shame on you, shame on you. Listen to the darn podcast. Okay, but Jack is one of the guys that I've been following him religiously since I was probably about like age 19. And because some of the things that he teaches, and one of the things that we went over in the show is the Six Sigma. And I know anyone that's in like the business management world, you've heard this before, okay, right? Six Sigma. If you haven't heard of it, then probably you've been living under a rock, okay? But it's okay. You know, I hear that's pretty damp and dark under that rock, and you can stay under there. No, I'm just kidding, right? So, but it's one of those things that you got to follow. If you haven't, I'm not going to try to explain that to you because this is all about show notes, but I will tell you my personal experience on what I've learned from it and how it has helped grow my business, okay, which is one, as an entrepreneur. I think the number one key that you have to learn as an entrepreneur is your strength, okay, is to try to figure out what you're truly good at, because if you're good at it, okay, then the most likely you can be great at it. But certain things that you might be good at, you may not enjoy. So one of the things that Jack talks about is using strengths, okay, using your own personal strength. And my personal strength is always been trying to analyze things very quickly, okay. I've actually taken certain tests that actually shows that. Like my personality test is that I am an INTJ, and you might be kind of shocked because if you're like, okay, you're an introvert, then why the freak are you actually on podcasts and you go actually on stage and speak in front of 200, 300 people? You come off as an extrovert. No, not necessarily. It's actually a learned trait that I've learned because of coaching, because of training, and how to articulate and how to speak to people. It's stuff that I've learned. So, but the point is, my core DNA is I am an introvert. I like to just be on my own, be quiet, like just like this, right? And actually just think, So, but one thing that I will say is this: is if you listen carefully on the episode, and I talk about actually implementing one strategy. That one strategy is putting the people in the right places in your business. Because if you're growing any business, right? Like if you're involved in growing a business, and then you have to bring someone on your team. Now, if you say, hey, I just want to be a solopreneur and just do things on my own and make money, that's perfectly fine. With the digital world now, you can outsource a lot of things and just run a company, a very lean company. But if you have to record, even like recruit VAs to help you with stuff, right? That's still theoretically your team member, right? Even though they're not theoretically under your payroll. Let's just say, okay, I'm like like a salary person, right? Because you might be paying per service or whatever, but they're still your team, and you want to build a culture behind it. And to do that, you got to have the people in the right places. And for me personally, one of the things that my mentors told me was to have people take a test called the Kolbe test, KOLBE.com. And it's not a IQ test to show how smart an individual is and that kind of stuff. It's more of a test to see what the modus operandi of a particular individual. Because when people are at a high stress level, meaning that something happens where you get questioned, you have a new task to execute, something pops up, then people refer back to their strength on how to analyze that situation, okay? Like for me, mine is I just think. I just start boom, 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 and I start processing information. Other people will go ahead and reach back and look at their own experience and try to relay and that kind of stuff. But the point is this, is that they said to have everyone on our team take this particular test. So I had them take the test, and I analyzed that test. And when I analyzed that test, I realized that certain individuals were in the wrong places. And because they were in the wrong places, I decided to go ahead and take them and put them in a place that I thought that they can flourish. And long and behold, fast forward time now, in the real estate investment world, that particular individual and a couple other people on our team has flourished and have literally done well over 6 figures because of that. So it's a really cool thing. But you gotta learn that in your own business, especially if you're trying to start like an online business, right? People have this idea that online business is different than any other business. I had a conversation with an individual who said, well, Jeff, all you do is online marketing. And then, for in their mind, they think that like, brick and mortar business is this, and then online business is like something else, which is which is not the case. Okay, just because your business is on the digital world, or just because you have a brick and mortar, doesn't mean that the core principle of the business is different. Okay, all businesses, in my opinion, is pretty much all the same. You have two things, which are the tactics, right? Things that you do to go ahead and generate revenue, right? Generate more clients, generate more traffic, right? Generate more sales, generate more conversions, right? Bring people in the door, right? Those are little tactics, but behind the tactics are the actual strategies to grow your business, and that's where it gets really, really interesting, because people have to use different strategy, right? I'll give you a prime example, right? Is that a lot of online guys, right, when they start selling stuff, right, they'll say, oh my god, I'm selling stuff, I'm making money, and then suddenly they get the shiny object syndrome and suddenly say, okay, you know what, let me go do something else, and it takes away from their core principle. Like I have one of the clients that actually was selling one particular item, let's call it a widget, and they're selling a lot of that. Okay, then suddenly someone else, a customer, starts asking, hey, can you have this other widget to sell, other widget to sell, other widget to sell, and guess what, they were just like, you know what, maybe I should sell this, and they ended up going into trying to sell that, and not only just sell that, but sell widget number 3, widget number 4, widget number 5, and then when they start to do that, what happened? Their business crumbled, because the unique selling proposition was that, hey, they were experts on widget number 1, so that's why their customers went to them. But when they started selling other stuff, the message in their marketing kind of got diluted and got lost in all the other BS and noise, and it ended up hurting their bottom line. So again, the point is, figure out the strength of your business, and making sure that you can go ahead and constantly deliver on the promises that your business is actually giving. And I'll leave off with this. There's an interesting quote that I wanted to actually read off to you. By another gentleman that I talked about in the actual podcast. It's by a gentleman named Peter Drucker. Okay, so Jack Welch, the guy I follow as well, and Peter Drucker is another person. He goes like this: it's much easier to move from competence to excellence than it is to move from mediocrity to competence. So again, if you use your strength, then it'll be a lot easier for you to execute whatever you want, or whatever you want to do in business much quicker, right? I'll use any prime example. Like me, people think that I'm a very analytical guy because I guess I'm Asian and stuff like that, okay? But it's not. I like the creativity side. I like using creativity. I happen to be good with numbers because I learned that at an early age, and because I'm Asian, they say, hey, I gotta know my numbers, so I ended up learning numbers. Okay, but it's not something I enjoy. I can't just literally be behind a computer and just boom, 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 and just run numbers all day like some people can. I just can't do that. Okay, and in the podcast, I talked about certain things about strength plus experience equals strength plus experience is equals your core superhuman power. And I use an example of Michael Jordan, right? Michael Jordan was considered. Why? Because LeBron is right around this corner, okay? But Michael Jordan played basketball, and he's a legend, okay? Greatest of all time, GOAT, right? But when he took his skill set and as an athlete, right, being so great as an athlete, because he has big hands, very athletic, hand-eye coordination, superior. So he ended up going into baseball. And when he got into baseball, not only did he make it as a major league player. Why? Because he's Michael Jordan. But he sucked as a baseball player. Why? Is because his experience didn't line up with his strength, right? Because his strength as an athlete, he played basketball all the time versus playing baseball, so he couldn't get the results that he did. So in business, it's very important for you to go ahead and understand that. It's because most people don't have a tactical problem, they have an actual strategy problem in their business for a lack of revenue, lack of cash flow, or lack of leads, or it feels chaotic and stuff like that. Okay, again, it's not a tactical problem, but it's more of a strategy problem. And to figure that out, you have to first analyze yourself as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, to see what your own strengths are, and then from there to figure out, okay, what can you use from understanding what your own strengths are, and then just freaking grow it, okay? And then everything else that you're weak on, hire out, okay? So that's what I got for you. Check it out, listen to it. I will really, really love to hear your feedback on this, so leave it on our blog, marketingstrategylab.com. /010 to leave a comment on that blog, or go to iTunes and check out the rest of the episodes. So this is Jeff Kogel with another episode of Show Notes for Marketing Strategy Lab, and I am signing out, and I will see you on the next video.